Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Hilmia Akib. I am about a review an international journal. It is published in European Research Center Training and Development of UK. The title of the journal is Teaching Vocabulary Using Film and Video, the Development of Senior Secondary Students Registers. It is written by Oluwayemi S. Oludunjue. He is a PhD from Olabisi Onabanjo University of Nigeria. Let's talk more about the journal. Actually, the journal consists of 5 parts. The first is introduction, the second is brief literature review, the third is methodology, the fourth is research, and the last is discussion. In introduction, it consists of background and statement of problem, while in the brief literature review, it consisted of research question, and methodology, it consisted of instrumentation, procedures, and data analysis. Next, we move to the first part, it is introduction. We move to background first. We have already known that English has 4 skills, but except those skills, there are some basic structures of language. One of them, it is vocabulary. Vocabulary is one of the basic components of language. Vocabulary is one component of those skills. One cannot express his idea if he lacks enough vocabularies. Stakeholders in educational sector frequently complain on the low quality of education in Nigerian educational system and the resultant effect of poor academic performance among senior secondary school students in English language. There is a shift in the focus of language education in the 21st century from emphasized grammar, memorization, and learning from rote to using language and cultural knowledge as a means to communicate and connect to others around the globe. Film and video are multimedia forms that convey information through 2 simultaneous sensory channels. They are oral or audio, and the second is visual. The media is conceived in multiple presentation modes, such as verbal and pictorial representations in the case of on-screen print and closed captioning. It is stated by Mayer in 2011. The next expert, he is Sittingwood and X. They stated that video can be used to promote awareness of interrelationship between modes. There are picture, movement, sound, and captions. Now we move to the second topic. It is brief literature review. In brief literature review, it consists of research question, but we move to brief literature review first. Using film and video can be an entertaining and motivating tool also for learners with different skill levels. Film and video provide the learners with real-life language input, which may be difficult to receive otherwise in a non-English speaking environment. In addition, according to many language studies, there are several reasons to use film and video in foreign language teaching. Some of these reasons are authenticity, the quality and amount of input provided by film and video, and several positive effects that film and video have on language learning. For instance, to exposure to foreign language and the entertaining aspect of film and video, which also affects students' motivation. Also, the different learning styles and the use of brain are discussed. Since film and video as a teaching resource affects also the factors. As in a very other area of language teaching, so also it is in the vocabulary learning where there have been several different attitudes and methods which have been varying over the decades. There are 4 approaches or methods. First is the grammar translational approach, the second is reading approach, the third is direct method, and the last is audio-lingual approach. We move to the grammar translational approach. of each word's part of speech, while in the reading approach, it emphasizes understanding the vocabulary even more, while in the direct method, it assumes one learns a foreign language by active and meaningful use of it. And the last is audiolingual approach. It deep amazed teaching the vocab in the initial stages. Now we move to research question. Based on the journal, the research question is there any influence of film and video on vocabulary development of secondary school students' language registers? It will be answered in the findings or discussion. Now, we move to the third part. It is methodology. The methodology of this journal, action research. This action research was designed to document the observable changes in the English language classes in secondary school resulting from the use of film and video as supplementary teaching. The population of this study was 40 senior secondary school students drawn from a well-equipped private secondary school. The participants were randomly divided into two groups of 20 students each, experimental group and control group. The experimental group was taught using a video, while the control group was taught by a conventional method. Now we move to the instrumentations. The instruments of this journal, there are three. The first, except teaching material, the routine class activities and materials also as the instruments of this journal, while the main instruments that I said earlier, that experimental group was taught by movie, while the movie is used is the most popular movie in the Nigerian, that is Power of Justice. Now we move to the procedures. The procedures of this journal, he combined two procedures, both quantitative procedures and qualitative procedures. The first step, it is screening. The next step is, it is divided into two groups. As I said earlier, there were two groups, experimental and control group. The next is vocabulary matching test. The next step is, they were given a pre-test. Both experimental and control group are different. In the experimental group, they were taught film and video, Power of Justice, while in the control group, they were taught by conventional method. And the last step, it is post-test. Now, we move to the data analysis. The data for this study was analyzed using descriptive statistic tools such as frequency distribution tables. This was done in line with the objectives of study. Now we move to the fourth part, it is results. Descriptive statistic indicates such as mean and standard deviation, measuring the degree to which statistical data varies from the mean, were calculated to group from vocabulary matching, pre-test and post-test, is illustrated in the figure 1. As you can see in the figure 1, the highest mean value lies in the post-test of the experimental group. As you can see in the slideshow, there is a graphic, and in the graphic there are 4 lines, 2 blue lines and 2 red lines. In the here, this one, it is experimental group, while this over there, it is control group. In the blue line, it is for pre-test, and the red line, it is for post-test. As you can see in the slideshow, mean of experimental group, it is 14.65, while mean of control group, it is 13.35. According to the mean scores of experimental group before and after treatment, they are pre-test and post-test, film and video will improve the vocabulary knowledge of students in English in a second language situation. Now we move to the last part, it is discussion. Film and video help the learners to enrich their vocabulary knowledge due to the fact that there are really a series of dialogues set in different situations. Even a short part of a film encourages and helps the learners improve their vocabulary a great deal. Authentic materials such as series engage the language learners in activities, thereby reduce anxiety and effective filter which allow the acquisition to take place. The present study examined the influence of film and video and vocabulary development of senior secondary school students' language registers. To sum up, the mean scores of participants in the both groups have increased from pre-test and to post-test. This means all students had a better performance. In other words, film and video have positive effect on the new vocabulary learning and corroborating study on film and video as relevant as to learners' comprehensions. Some other research results have indicated that film and